Hello guys, I hope so you are doing well. So Capcom in their most recent earnings call, they announced that 93% of their game sales are digital and only around 7% sales are through physical media. And using this information, pathetic PlayStation sales like Push Square and other journals, they started pushing out articles like this. Just their habit of doing coordinated attacks in favor of billion-dollar corporations against the gamers. MS Sony just debacle. Capcom sales data is a brutal reality check for fans of physical media. Just 6.7% of sales are physical. Oh, so sad. But these clowns, they didn't bother in their articles to check the sales breakup of Capcom's game sales. So, yep, that's true. And they are using this information for the first quarter, and that's in the first quarter. 93% sales are digital, and only 6.7% sales are through physical media. And even there is a breakup of digital sales. 60% sales are on PC, 60% sales are on PC, and only minority sales are on console. And another hilarious thing, majority of Capcom's game sales, though Capcom is a Japanese company, 90% sales from other countries, while Japan only contributes a 10% of Capcom's game sales. So using the same logic of physical and digital which these clowns are using, Capcom should stop making games for consoles and even it should abandon its home market, which is Japan. And on PC, we all know that there is no physical media. So obviously all sales are going to be digital. If there had been option of physical media in PC, so on PC, physical media sales would have been considerable. So and the physical, this only includes PS5, Switch 2, and Xbox. And physical media is already very limited for Xbox. And another hilarious thing about this digital sales, which Capcom hasn't disclosed, and take it with a slight grain of salt because I look all through Capcom's recent earnings call information, presentation, financials, slides, other information, etc. So their Capcom hasn't mentioned anything like this. So take this data with a slight grain of salt. By the way, this is less of a shell outlet, games.gg. At least they bothered to cover this important information. Capcom also counts Switch to GameKey cards as digital sales in its internal accounting, and though they require a download from the internet, but the difference is the GameKey cards can be resold, and even if it's shared with another person, so the other person can also download this game on Switch too. While if a game is bought just digitally from the digital store, and in case if ID gets banned, so you will lose that game. That's not going to be the case because if even if account gets banned, so gamer can make another account, and in that another account the game key card can be used. So in my opinion, that should be counted as a physical sales. But Capcom is definitely doing manipulation. And by the way, Capcom is pushing hard for digital sales. They have around sold 51.87 million units, physical plus digital combined. They are aiming for 100 million units, and they think that if they prioritize digital game sales, they can reach this milestone. And by the way, from some time, Capcom is also pushing digital agenda, promoted a shift from a business model centered on physical sales to one centered around digital sales. The shift to digital sales enabled us to provide content to users around the world for longer period of time and also increased our flexibility in pricing. By the way, I'm going to talk about this. Digital sales do not include distribution costs and development costs for catalog titles that have been on the market for a certain period of time. So Capcom is also using the argument that no distribution cost, development cost for the discs. So this distribution cost is actually retailer's margin. Makes sense. But if you can spend million on games and earning well from games, so providing a physical option for gamers will not harm you much. And the disc manufacturing costs are quite low. So that's bullshit. That's typical greed. But one thing great about Capcom is that as they are making more money from digital sales, so to an extent, they are passing the benefits to customers as well. Because frequently, Capcom games frequently go on sale, be it PlayStation Store, Microsoft Store, and the PC digital platforms. While same cannot be expected from PlayStation. And if Capcom is spending millions on games, so Capcom is actually making quite a lot of games which are demanded by gamers. And majority of Capcom's games from the previous generation till the current generation, they are quite successful. So in these aspects, obviously, I will criticize Capcom much less than PlayStation. So increase of flexibility pricing, so that's quite true. And another word you guys might be seeing, catalog titles. So these catalog titles are, include the older titles. So obviously, the recent older titles, they are available through physical media, but they are really old Capcom titles as well. The very classic games which Capcom has made available only digitally. So for them, there is no physical media, like the classic Resident Evil games, etc., and Dino Crisis 1, Dino Crisis 2, etc., and many other old games of Capcom. They are only available digitally. So a more accurate comparison would be that if a game is released digitally as well as physically, so how much game sold physically versus digitally for those games which for which both options were available, so that will be a more accurate more that will be a more accurate comparison. But they are manipulating the numbers to push digital agenda. And this will be quite funny considerations from the this is from Capcom's financials. In addition to reducing our environmental impact by increasing digital sales, the group is working to reduce CO2 emissions. Addressing climate change is a common challenge for all of humanity. So they are bragging that they are pushing digital sales to reduce impact on the environment. By the way, if storage gets quite limited on PC and consoles, so gamers usually delete their games. And while the digitally purchased game, they can be downloaded again for free. But downloading them again requires use of the server. So that actually consumes servers. So in order to sell more digital games, more servers and more data centers will be invested on by these companies. And we all know that these servers and data centers, they are they have far worse consequences for the environment. They consume a lot of resources which can be used for the people and for the other essential things. So these same companies, they don't speak out against data centers, which are massive toll on the environment. But just gamers, if they want to buy games on discs, so that's a problem. Actually, these companies are trying to make you switch to digital by making you feel bad about the environment. So that's manipulation at best. And physical game disc. If if a physical gamer shares that game with others or resells it, so from the same disc, the game will be played by more number of people. And game being downloaded from the disk doesn't require the use of servers or data centers, etc. So isn't it actually the game discs, they are far more environmentally friendly than the digital option for games. And more recently, Take Two, the parent company of Rockstar, they also had a recent earnings call for their recent quarter, which has ended. So Mr. Strauss Zelnick, By the way, I was a fan of Strauss Zelnick. I used to enjoy his interviews, his podcasts, etc., and his straightforward approach to answers. But in this earnings call, he has disappointed me a lot. So I've started to hate him now. So an investor in the earnings call asked Mr. Zelnick about PlayStation's decision to end this by 2028, and also about the decision that why GT 6 is not being released on discs. So Mr. Zelnick said 90% of Take Two sales are digital and only 10% of physical. So actually, the problem with this is that Rockstar Games is making single player games, but they also have online components, which also make a lot of money. And other are live service games, the sports titles, etc. And I'm going to show you that Take Two T2 owns a major mobile gaming company. So for the live service games, though they are also available on disc, but majority of the gamers buy them digitally because they have to be frequently updated. And mobile games, they are all only available digitally for them. There is no disc or physical media. So more accurate comparison will be that if a game is released on disc as well as digitally, so what's the proportion of sales then? And even Rockstar's own games, GTA 5, the recent PS5 version, the disc version of GTA 5 PS5 version. I'm telling you the situation in my country, Pakistan, and I can say for sure that probably that's the same for other regions as well. And even though the retailers keep it in massive quantities because there is too much demand for the GTA 5 disc version of PS5, it still gets sold frequently. And then the retailers in my country, the game shops in my country, they have to frequently reorder it in large, huge quantities. So if majority of the gamers prefer digital, they would have digitally just bought a PS5 version rather than going out of the way to have a disc for the PS5 version. And Red Dead Redemption 2, still to this day, it gets sold out. So for few of your own games, majority of the sales are on disc. So that's actually manipulation, and this is a fabricated figure to push all digital agenda. And in their earnings presentation, they use this as well that the red massive box is for digital sales, and only these minor black balls of physical sales. So all other games are also included which do not have a physical release or which are bought mainly digital by the users. And even the can say for sure that the mobile games are also included in this. So one interesting thing I'm going to show you about Take Two is that it also owns Azanga, which is a mobile game company. And by the way, we should not trust each and everything said by these executives, and we should not take each and everything said by these executives as fact because Grand Theft Auto is successful, so they are disclosing unit sales for the Grand Theft Auto. Same goes for Red Dead Redemption 2. This is a presentation from the recent earnings call. For the NBA, they are disclosing units, but for the Borderlands 4, they are mentioning the sales of Borderlands 3, mentioning the unit sales of Borderlands 3. So isn't it in the most recent earnings call you should talk about your Borderlands 4 sales? So for Borderlands 4, they are saying that just it has a great Metacritic score and it's currently supporting players with content updates. And it's been a few months since Borderlands 4 has been released. So they should have if Borderlands 4 has been selling really well, so they should have disclosed sales. Even for the Mafia Old Country, they are disclosing wish lists. They often get cancelled. So even for Mafia Old Country, they should have disclosed sales, but they are not because that doesn't suit their argument. And they are also using article to favor their game, which is based on Sarkana's analytics. And I've dedicated two of my videos to this Sarkana's Matt Piss. So he's a big data manipulator, so that he can show favor for billion-dollar corporations to show the billion-dollar corporations in a favorable light. Even no sales figure for 2K26 and PG8 were. Zynga the Farmville. And when I was a teenager, I used to play these games on Facebook, Farmville, etc., and the Cityville, etc., because I didn't have a smartphone at the time. Now I can't say that whether I can play these games on Facebook or not, but I don't play mobile games. So if I talk about Take Two's, so here you guys can see that this is the sales revenue breakdown. The digital games are even much lesser than the mobile game sales. So using the same digital versus physical logic, T2 should entirely give up on AAA games and the live service games, and it should solely focus on mobile games because majority of its in revenue it's coming from mobile games. So why it's investing on live service games and why T2 or Rockstar games they have invested an enormous amount in GTA 6. They should not have done that even after the success of GTA Online. Mobile game is the major contributor to its income, and T2 can get dispose of Rockstar games because mobile games make much more money, so it doesn't make sense to make AAA games. And by the way, this is from Capcom's older earnings call. This Q&A document is not from the most recent earnings call. So an investor asked, the ratio of physical game sales is decreasing as end user needs for digital is increasing. What is your outlook of physical games and the company's policy regarding this? Given that a significant number of end users demand physical games, we currently do not expect to eliminate physical products. But recently, I heard that Capcom released discs for Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, etc. in limited quantities to push more digital sales. And Capcom is going full hard on the digital future. So definitely, Capcom will try to manipulate sales by limiting supply for the game discs of its upcoming games. But at least still, their response is better than PlayStation. That at least they're saying that if there is demand, we will keep making discs for games. So at least the response is better than PlayStation. And this thing might have changed over time, but we can still use it. And last thing I would like to say, actually one of the articles covered that this is being done by Rockstar and Take-Two to avoid spoilers and leaks for the game. If that's the case, so I have sympathies for Rockstar and T2, and these are the same gamers that made GTA and GTA Online, etc., immensely successful. GTA 5 is one of the most successful entertainment products. So as a thank you, Rockstar should release this version of GTA 6 for gamers who want to have disc. And I can say for sure that if this version is released, majority of the gamers will buy the disc version of GTA 6. Currently, majority of the gamers are buying GTA 6 digitally because there is no option. So that's all for today. We'll continue more with the physical media news. By the way, I want to cover even more gaming news, but the news of physical media is my priority. And obviously, I'm doing a walkthrough of, but I also want to do walkthroughs or reviews of games. So currently, I'm doing how to walkthrough of Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered. So those who are interested, they can check it out. Bye.